What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about my new turbo setup that I'm going to be doing on my truck in next week's video. But today I just want to go over all the specifications of what I'm going to be running. So what I'm going to be running on this is the new Stealth Series V2. Now, as you guys know, I have a Duramax tuner Stealth Series turbo on. This is Stealth 67. And it's a great turbo. I love it. I have a set of 100 over injectors that pair perfectly with this turbo setup. I have no issues with it. I love the performance of the turbo and everything like that. But they just told me the other day that they are coming out with a Stealth Series V2, which has a smaller exhaust side housing that's supposed to help the swoop of the turbo swoop a lot better and be a lot more driver and user end friendly. And I want to run that on my truck a little bit. Like I said a few videos back, I wanted to run an S472, which kind of be my winter project, and try to get one installed on the truck. But I went ahead and told them, you know what, send me the V2. And they sent it to me, and I had it 2 days later. And I want to kind of pull them out of the box and go over the different kind of setups that they are. This is a stock turbo. This is the V2 series, and this is a normal V1 Stealth 67. Now, it's not really called V2. I'm just calling it the version 2, which is the updated one. So I want to kind of pull them out of the box here, show you guys what's up with the Stealth, what they changed on the V1, I'm going to call it, versus the V2, and how it looks over a stock Charger. Now, like I said before, I had really good luck with this turbo setup. I had it almost a year now. I was one of the first to get the actual Stealth Series on, I believe, an L5P. Probably one of the first on the 20s. I know I'm one of the first with the V2s, and I'm really curious to see how this one's going to drive and perform. I heard that the V2, you're not going to need any type of tune updates, that you kind of just drop it in and go. But I'm going to try to play around with it a little bit and see if we get to spool up a little bit better, run and drive better. Like I said, I'm really happy with how my truck is now. Runs great, no issues. It's super fast. We were playing around a few days ago, and my truck's a lot faster than what I think. I should have been recording it, but that's a different story for a different time. But like I said, for today, we're just going to dive into the differences between, I'm going to call it the V1, V2, and a stock turbo. So without further ado, let's go ahead here, crack all these open, and start going over it all. So I'm going to go ahead here real quick, get these cut open. I have basically them all open. This is my stock OEM turbo that came off the truck. This is the one I just got sent, and this is an original that I still have in the box, a V1 series. So let me get them all pulled out, put on the tailgate, and we'll go over all the differences. I didn't really talk about what's different on the V2 yet, but let me get them out of the box, and we'll go over everything you need to know. Alright, so we got them laid out here. Again, this is stock Charger. This is the V2. And this is a Stealth V1, which is first series, second series, and stock turbo. Basically, the only thing they did different on this V2 turbo was they did a smaller exhaust side housing. They dropped the exhaust side housing from a 15mm down to a 12mm to try to help some spool up of the turbo. Now, that will not affect the top peak end power. From what they said, that this turbo should be able to make the same amount of power as the first series did, the V1, which is about 800. I heard of some people making 850 on a dyno with this turbo, which is proven. There's dyno sheets out there, this turbo making 850 horsepower. But yeah, it'd be kind of interesting. Like I said, I'm gonna get this thrown on my truck next week. As you can see, I got the right actuator on this one. This is a 17 through 19 actuator. This is a 20 plus actuator. As you guys know, when I first did this, we didn't know at the time the actuators were different. And I went to go put this on, and I was having issues, hence why this actuator is missing on this one. And yeah, so the swap around actuators, pull a turbo, is a big ordeal. But now that we all know all this stuff, this will not be a problem. They have specific now 2020 turbos, and then 17 through 19 ones. And specific 2020 ones more for the people with 20 trucks, so you don't have to go through the headache. I'm sure they sell a lot more of these versus the 2020s, because a lot of people aren't messing with 20s. Just due to the trans tuning not being out and transmission support, no TCM tuning. I'm sure they sell a ton more of these than they do the 2020 ones. But like I said, I wanted to go over some of the differences. Basically, this Stealth turbo is fully built. It has all new bearings on the inside, compressor wheels front and rear on them. As you can see, the stock wheel right here, give you guys a little angle of that. I wish I had more time today to take these apart, but you guys would be able to see the differences of the wheel. But this is like a really, I'm not sure the exact spec on the wheel, but it's upgraded compressor wheels, and basically all built internals on this to be able to withstand 800 some horsepower. Now, the stock, the only limiting factor on these L5Ps is basically after you tune them is air. These turbos run out of air right around 620 horsepower. After that, you're going to overspeed a turbo and it's going to blow up. these trucks can handle a lot more. They just get tapped out of air. The injectors can handle more. The fuel system can handle more. The only thing really is you run out of air. So if you're looking to make more power, the next step up would be to do a turbo. And what I did mine at the time, I really didn't want to go ahead and mess with something non-fixed vane. I wanted to stay with a fixed vane turbo just so I retain my exhaust brake. It spools up a lot better and is not laggy, and that's why I decided to go with the Stealth series. People were waiting for these to drop for a while, and I'm glad when I was ready to do it, they kind of just came right out, and I picked one up, got it on. This turbo taught me so much about my truck, how much little things in tuning can affect the way a truck drives, just from fueling to when the vanes lock up and close. There's so much behind it. This Stealth series really taught me a lot more about that, a lot more knowledge about how my truck runs and drives, and basically now we have these Stealth super dialed in that you can put on a truck and there's basically zero lag. They run great. They run even better when you have proper fueling mods, because the more fuel you can get to this thing, the more hot air you can get in the compressor, the better it will spool up. And basically, right now with my truck, it runs perfect. It would run a lot better if I had TCM tuning to be able to make it hold out the gears a little bit longer, lock the converter. But other than that, it runs great. As you can see, how much smaller it is on the stock turbo. Now, like I said, I'm going to flip these over real quick, but they only went from a 12 mil or a 15 millimeter exhaust side to a 12 millimeter, which really isn't a huge difference. I don't even think on camera you'll be able to pick it up. You can slightly see that it's smaller, but other than that, it's the same. Now, I'm really curious to get this on my truck, and I'm really curious if it really changes going from a 15 millimeter exhaust side housing down to a 12 millimeter exhaust side housing, whether that helps spool it up or not, spool it up better or not. But just take into consideration this little saying that if you're like on a bicycle, you start in 10th gear, you start in first gear. It's gonna be a lot easier to start in first gear than going in 10th gear. And that's how it is with a turbo. So basically, if you have a bigger thing that you have to spin and get in motion, you're gonna have more lag associated with that, just because it takes more air to spool something that's bigger versus something that's this big versus something that's this big. Anything, it'll start going faster if it's smaller, and that's basically how it works with turbo lag. So I'm not going to go into full detail. That's kind of like a little brief summary on how that works, but let me go ahead, flip them over, show you guys the exhaust side housings and how that's going to affect the way it spools up. And then next week, we'll get this on the truck. I'm just really excited to get this, and I wanted to make a little video and show you guys a little side-by-side comparison, because I'm sure there's nothing out there of people going over stuff like this of V1, V2, even stock. I never even seen a comparison of stock versus Stealth. I think I made a video on that, but when I was looking for this setup here, looking around to see if anyone had a V2 yet, I didn't see anything. Like I said, this literally just came out like last week, so I have one of the first, but let me go ahead and flip this over, and we'll go over all the exhaust side housing side of things. As you can see how small the stock one is. Basically, a bigger exhaust side housing will help get all that hot air out of the truck, basically keep drive pressure down, and just make the truck run a lot cooler, because basically you can move more air. It's going to keep the air in the truck cooler, and you'll have lower EGTs, lower drive pressure. Basically everything stimulates from the exhaust side housing of things. A lot of the times, like in a fixed vane turbo, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff, because as much air that can come in, as much air that can go out. On a VGT, you can only physically move so much air with the vanes open 100% of the way. So this actuator does here is control the vane cage in here. These Stealths have a built vane cage. I'm not sure the specs on that either, but it's upgraded. There's a whole build sheet here that is everything is done in these turbos, but basically when you give it gas, it opens and closes the vanes just to help basically gear itself up to move more air. But like I said, you can't really pick it up on camera that this one's a little bit bigger than this one, but 15 mil, 12 mil exhaust side housing. You can kind of tell a little bit. Now that's a little bit bigger, but not by much. And like I said, I'm really curious whether or not this is going to make a difference in the truck. We're going to find out next week after I get these swapped into the truck. But I'm probably going to make a little before and after video of them driving and stuff like that, and my honest review, because I have nothing to hide. I like to be as honest as I can about this stuff, and I'm going to give my honest opinion whether or not I notice a difference or not, because I'm sure some people are going to want to upgrade to the V2 and try to sell their V1, but like I said, I'm going to be honest. If I notice a difference, I probably will, just because it's just basic physics that if it's smaller, it will spool better. But stay tuned to next week, and I will get this installed on the truck, and we'll go over everything you need to know, that sorts. So that's about it for this video, guys. I just wanted to make a short little video going over the new Stealth Series turbos. Basically, like I said, the only difference is they dropped down from a 15 mil to a 12 mil exhaust side housing. Can't wait to get this thing on. I'm really curious to see whether or not it changes the drivability of the truck. And I'm gonna make a full detailed video before and after driving with the one I have on there now versus V2. Because like I said, I'm sure you guys are gonna wanna upgrade to the V2 if you have a V1. But if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. Like, if you like this video, be sure to leave it a big thumbs up. Be sure to stay tuned to next week when I get this installed. But until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Stop this conversation. We